Hey everybody, it's Casey. Casey's on the case, whatever this intro is supposed to be. And guess what? I have a co-host today, my sister-in-law Stephanie. So that is our exciting co-host, and will hopefully make me less awkward, could make me more awkward. We will find out. So Stephanie, tell everybody a little about yourself in, which is a very vague and unhelpful prompt.
Yeah, well, I think you've built me up a little bit too much, but I am Casey's sports-loving sister-in-law, but I love it for different reasons than her. I love the good sportsmanship. Like, you can often find me crying if someone, is hugging the opposite team member, or I just love the drama, the reality TV aspect of it. So I'm kind of the alternate side of sports loving from Casey.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. I will sit here and nitpick over tactics and whatever, and usually there's just a lot on that end that I'm always yelling about. So hopefully our hope is that we give you some good balance between the different ways to enjoy women's soccer, and if not, just good vibes. That's not good balance, at least that's good vibes.
The vibes are good.
Yeah.
Vibes are good.
Yeah. So we were talking before about what things we're watching the Olympics that are not soccer, just because that is also happening. So Stephanie, what are you watching? What's been your favorite story going on?
I'm more of the primetime sports gal, so the gymnastics, the swimming, track. Big fan of Steve, the pommel horse guy, Clark Kent. He won a big medal yesterday, I think it was. He's just so funny. And of course, Simone Biles and her whole storyline coming back from her mental health struggles is just so inspiring. So yeah, pretty basic. Hashtag basic.
I'm I like to get into the weird sports, and I never know what sport it's gonna be. And this morning I'm deeply upset about skeet shooting. And if you did not watch this, so skeet shooting, this is the clay pigeons. So just to because there's a lot of shooting at the Olympics. So this is the clay pigeons. You try to hit the clay pigeons. So we're down to the gold medal round. It is a woman from Great Britain, and then there's a woman from Chile. And they're both basically they pull two usually, and then they'll make one miss one is what's been going on in kind of the final round. And lady from Great Britain goes first. She makes both in her eyes, but it's called a miss and a hit. And what happens, you can see it on replay, on video for all of us at home. She does hit both. It's just the first one she hits doesn't let off the powder for whatever reason, the clay pigeon malfunctions. And she appeals to the official. It's no, I hit it. Go look. And they're that's the call. And then the Chilean woman gets out, hits both, and wins the gold medal, and she gets silver. And I don't know how she kept it relatively together, and it's probably helpful that I think she's in her 40s, so I'm sure she's seen some things and can maturely deal with this. Whereas I, a child at 34, am this is outrageous. But I'm so mad for her. She literally, you can see it on the video. She hit it. It does break off. It just doesn't powder. So I don't think that was very fair. Shoot, a silver medal is still good. I'm not, no shade to anybody who's getting silver, but I'd be so upset if that had cost me a gold medal just because I got a malfunctioning clay pigeon.
Well, what was the explanation? They just
said that was just the call. That was, she said that's the call. It was just a no hit because there's no powder, and they don't do video replay. So which it's very obvious on the video. So yeah, that's my outrage this morning. I'm I keep going back to Dan, and I'm Dan, the clay pigeon, it's back on the TV. You gotta see this. And he's just what are you going on about?
I'll have to check that out. I did not.
Yeah.
I was watching gymnastics this morning.
Yeah. So I caught a little bit of that too, which was, it was uneven bars, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Jamie
Lee got the bronze.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Rebecca Andrade is very good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been fun. And then we have swimming later today, which will be great. And for me as a Swede, we have Sara Westrom, who you would not recognize that as her name because the commentators, Sarah's Sjöström, I think is what they're going with. And it's nails on a chalkboard every time. But I hope she's gonna win it, gonna get another gold. So she's having a really good Olympics, and Sweden, small nation, we're yes, anything we get is good.
Yeah. Well, I'll watch. I'll cheer for her, for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. There are some Americans in that race as well, so I understand if not. But we're a small nation, and swimming is not historically a strong suit of ours, other than like we occasionally have a couple of like, they're always, I can't think of the last time I had a really good like male swimmer, but we usually have a couple of pretty good women. So that'll be exciting. Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So I guess we can get into the soccer of it. Did you suffer through the full US?
Hold on. Hold on. Sorry, I fell asleep.
Yeah, it was rough. And it's been really interesting because my sense with when we hit quarterfinals yesterday is like a lot more people were like texting me about soccer. So I feel like a lot of people came out of the woodwork to finally watch the quarterfinals who like maybe didn't watch group stage just because, yeah, no, I mean, I get it. The group stage games were all on like during the workday or Sunday. And I also think just like with Olympics overload of like other stuff to watch, I don't think I've realized or remembered from prior Olympics, like just how many people really actually start paying attention at quarterfinals for women's soccer. So I think a lot of people, their first introduction to this tournament was probably yesterday. And it's a bummer. These were not, because it wasn't just our game, like the other games on the whole, not a fun watch necessarily from like a soccer standpoint. Although I would say France Brazil was fun just because I was curious if there was going to be a full-on brawl at any point, which I really thought might happen. But they look tired. I think everybody looks tired. They have played, for folks who are not keeping track of the schedule, they played 4 games in like 9 days, which is brutal. It's very quick. They have transit as well because most of them, the US, for example, their group stage matches were all in Marseille, and now they're in Paris, or they were in Paris for the quarterfinal, and then they go to Lyon now for the semi. So they're losing days in transit that they could be spending with recovery, that they could be spending, with really any number of other things. So these teams look tired. They're smaller rosters as well for anybody who's newer to the tournament. Only 18 players on any given day. You have 22 total, so 4 alternates, but they can only swap in before a match, so you're not subbing with them during it. And you have to have medical sign off in order to swap somebody. So you can't just do it for, non-medical reasons. And if you had a yellow card accumulation like the US did or another suspension, you cannot bring somebody else onto the roster. You are stuck with 17. So we are starting to see tired legs. We are starting to see as a result, you see kind of some boring matches because people or messy matches because people can't get it together. So what portion did you fall asleep for USA Japan?
I mean, it was pretty exciting, I would say, for the first half. I mean, exciting, but then it just, I don't know. I knew I was missing Simone Biles's vault competition. They were just doing safe passes to one another, kept getting clogged up in the midfield with Japan's midfield. I don't know. It was just more of the same.
Yeah, I in the second half started joining the crowd in booing when the US backline would swing it around again because I was just so frustrated. And it's hard. There's a lot of reasons, like tactically this stuff happened. Japan came out with a mid-block of sorts where they were going to just hold people back. And their goal was to prevent the US from getting the ball to our fronts. And they did that. That was pretty effective, but it's hard to hold on for a whole match. And it also meant that they did not have as much going forward themselves. They were reliant on the ability to counterattack in ways that I don't think work really well when you're facing Naomi Gerba or any of the U.S. backline. So it was a great way to survive the match. It wasn't the great way to win the match. And I think they had personnel that could have allowed them to win it. So, kind of an interesting tactical decision for Japan. It made it very unpleasant to watch. I think the other thing that really contributed to that is ultimately the defensive midfield position issues, because with Corbin Albert coming in for Sam Coffey, of course, out on yellow card accumulation, then Emily Sonnet having to play center back because Tierna Davidson was out with an injury. We were limited in who could play the defensive mid spot, and you ended up having to play Corbin Albert there, who does not play there normally. She can kind of help out in a pinch there. And I think to the extent that the goal was survive, she did fine there. But the ball's always going backwards. It's not going forwards. She's not doing anything to drive the ball forward for you. And that's part of why playing 2 players in that position can be quite helpful, because you gain a little more control and can look up and figure out where to send the ball. And you can also shut down any kind of attack that they do decide to generate through there. So I think we all wanted to see something different there, but instead what we got was Corbin Albert kind of trying to do the 6 by herself, and then Lindsay Horan on the touchline, all the way wide, so often. And I don't when you're not a fast player, don't go over there.
Yeah.
You know, like just stay in the middle.
Was it desperation or just
You know, I think it's
tiredness?
yeah, I think fatigue. I think it's, you know, I think she's trying to unlock something, right? You're trying to unlock some way to get through and give another option. But the problem was her touches were off. You know, she didn't need to be the one providing width. And, you know, you're ultimately causing more problems if like you're going out of position and losing the ball and then you can't recover back to where you should be. So I think that was kind of the issue there, but it's all of these things are happening simultaneously. We've got fatigue, we've got you know, a tactical matchup that makes it not fun to watch. I think she would have just been better if she'd sat back more with Corbin Albert so that you had two defensive mids essentially, but Lindsay Horan doesn't want to do that. So it's challenging, I think. And the Horan haters were in full force. She was trending at one point on Twitter, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
what were people saying?
I mean, just the same stuff. It's like, you know, she's slow. I don't understand why she's out there. You know, why are we not subbing her off when she's this ineffective?
Why weren't there more subs or any subs?
I don't know. I don't think she likes her bench. I think Emma Hayes is not happy with her bench options. And to the extent she is, my question is who on the bench was actually available to come in for Lindsay Horan? Because you've got Sam Coffey out on yellow card accumulation. So that's one of your central midfielders gone. You have Corbett Albert now has had to come in to play for Sam Coffey, so that's not somebody you can use as a sub. Emily Sonnet is playing center back for Tina Davidson, so you can't sub her in either. I guess you were left with Jaden Shaw, but then, you know, Shaw is really more of a 10. Or were you going to slide Rose Lavelle back? Or are you going to slide Crystal Dunn and have her play a more, you know, because she's also more of a 10. I think she can do other things centrally, and it's maybe not the worst idea because I think Crystal Dunn does what you ask of her.
Yeah.
But then you got to put Nicewaller in next to Sonnet because that was bad. So, you know, I think you kind of had to keep Lindsay out there. I just don't know what the sub is. For me, it's a broader conversation. Like when we talk about Lindsay Horan and the questions with her within this tournament, I don't think there's a lot to do. I just don't think we've developed midfields that are not Horan centric or Horan reliant at this point. So you got to look at options once we're out of this tournament, I think, because I mean, look, like she could get injured, she could retire, she could do any number of things could happen. So you have to have a plan for like non-Horan anyway. And I also just think there will be other midfields that are better. So, you know, for this tournament though, you're kind of stuck with her. Like you just kind of are.
Well, Trinity's goal, or am I jumping ahead? Is there anything?
You're good. You're good. No, we're Trinity's goal. We're right there.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. Off her left foot too.
Yeah.
I was like to my son, because he's 7, just learning how to practice soccer, play soccer better, and practice his skills. And he's so nervous to use his left foot. And I was like, watch this goal with their left foot. And his eyes got all big and wide. So it was pretty awesome watching my son, a women's soccer player, hit an awesome goal like that.
Yeah. I mean, she like personally took this game on her back. It was just like, I'm not making you all sit through penalties. And I was like, thank you, Trin. Appreciate you, because like it's one of the few times I think, okay, let me back up on that, because I as a player hated golden goal. I think golden goal is the stupidest thing. It's just a gut punch, and like you don't have any, it doesn't seem fair. As a viewer, put me out of my misery.
I was saying the same thing.
Out of my misery. Like it's so seldom is a game where like it's tight and I want to see that in overtime and or extra time, because there once in a while a Euro will watch my stuff and I always get yelled at about overtime versus extra time. So
so which one is it? Extra time?
It's extra time, yeah.
Okay.
The people of the UK are it's almost, actually I shouldn't even call them Euros anymore because they're not part of the European Union. But they are very particular about how soccer is talked about. The soccer one, like I think everybody will accept. And I say soccer and football fairly interchangeably, but that one's always funny to me. Like they're always like, it's not overtime, you American. Like it's not overtime, and I'm like, but it's the same idea. We all know what I'm talking about. So,
well, anyway, does any tournament or anywhere do golden goal? Like, does that exist anymore?
Not really anymore. And I do think the good balance between the two is silver goal, where you play through still extra time period. You just don't go to the additional one.
Oh,
that I think is a pretty good balance.
Okay. Do we need a petition for that for the next Olympics?
I mean, maybe. This was because it's not just our game. Like, as we'll talk about with these other ones, it was not just USA Japan. It was also, you know, Germany Canada was a kind of a rough watch. Yeah, Spain Colombia was fun. in regular time. It was not so fun in extra time. And then France-Brazil didn't go to extra time, but it did have 16 minutes of stoppage time or additional time.
Okay, so it's additional, not stoppage?
I don't remember which one. Somebody from the UK can yell at me about whatever term they're
Regardless,
preferring.
16 minutes is an insane amount of time.
Yeah, no, it is. But I mean, it was like, you know, I'm like, I guess we can we were not going to talk about France-Brazil next, but we certainly can. We can just flow to it. I don't really care. But, you know, France-Brazil, it's like, once Brazil got the goal, and like, France was playing not well. It was not a good outing from France. They were defensively extremely disorganized, which is how Brazil got their goal. But at the same time, even with it being France's like suboptimal outing, they still were outplaying Brazil. And Brazil knew that. And when they got that goal, it was like everything that everybody talks about not existing in the women's game and enjoying that it doesn't exist, like came out in full force. Like the flopping, the gotta wait an extra second to make the save or pick up the ball, how it was everything. And so, you know, they ended up with a lot of extra time, or people needing injury treatment who didn't really, and you know, it was rough. And I think there was a lot of frustration because there was a lot of just blatant fouling from Brazil sometimes too, which also added, you know, time to the clock. You know, the Delphine Cascarino yellow card, I think she only got a yellow, but if they had gone back and watched that, I think she might have gotten a red, because she was being taken down completely. Like, it was like full out had her just gripped by the kit and the shorts and all of it and dragged her down. She turned around and actually did like throw a little punch in there, so I'm kind of surprised she managed to keep it to just a yellow. But yeah, it was a rough go. It was a rough go. So I don't know. And I think even just looking at the number of yellow cards there were, because I think we did enter double digits of them. When you get that many yellow cards in a game, the odds that like none of them go to the same player twice is kind of wild. So I'm shocked everybody stayed on the pitch, but it was not like a fun watch from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
Again, it was just for the drama. It was not.
I mean, the drama counts for something.
Just to give the France-Brazil a little more formality on it. So Brazil ended up winning this one 1-0. They were playing without Marta. Marta had a red card from the last group stage match against Spain from a high kick. Everybody knew it was a red card. She knew it was a red card. It looked pretty devastating because this is, she said, her last international tournament. She was not going to get to play another match unless Brazil won against France and they advanced to the semifinal. But what we have learned this morning is that she was actually given a 2-match suspension. It seems like all of the red cards have been 2-match. I don't know if that's like somewhere in the bylaws and I didn't see it.
Yeah, so it's not standard necessarily.
Well, no, because like in every other league play, it would just be 1 match. Like you can have things get enhanced if it's especially egregious. But this was, I think, very clearly a red card, but not one that would have been a multi-game suspension. And the same thing was true with Mayra Ramirez's red card for Colombia, where she got a 2-game suspension as well. And they tried to, I think they also tried to appeal it. But yeah, Brazil's currently appealing this. They're pointing out that Marta is like almost never carded. Which is true. She's got a pretty pristine record on the card issue. I hope that it's only a 1 match. I like, she needs to be there.
Yeah.
She needs to be there.
Value alone.
I like, one, I think she needs to be there because I don't think Brazil has a shot in hell without her against Spain, frankly. But 2, like, just for like, come on, man. Like, she's 39. Like, let her be there.
Yeah.
You know, and
she's
playing great. Like, she's playing well enough where I'm like, I don't know, maybe the 2027 World Cup isn't that far away. Maybe she can stick it out a little longer. I don't know. I say that very seldom about anyone over 30.
I was going to say 39, 40. That'd be pretty cool, though, to see someone in their 40s out.
Yeah. Well, if anybody can do it, it's her. And she may not want to do it. I don't know. But that was, you know, that's the bummer we're kind of hearing this morning. And I think it's also a bummer for the players. I think you can only do it for Marta so many times. But, okay, Root, you gotta... It's pugs again. It's just, the pugs are in and out. I'm like, make up your mind. Make up your mind, honey. So, with France losing to Brazil, France now has lost a lot. For a team that has been this talented, they have actually only advanced beyond a quarterfinal once in a major tournament. And that is the semifinals of the 2022 Euros. Yeah, I'm sad for them. And I'm sad for this generation of players who I think are quite good and should get beyond a quarter, but they don't.
What do you think happened? Nerves?
I mean, this time I think they really did. This tournament structure is brutal. I flagged this with them from the get-go, is that their starting 11 is the best starting 11 in the tournament, but the rest of the team there's some drop-off. So it makes it hard to rotate. I think you just had tired legs with the starting 11 here. I would have thought, like, they did do some rotation against New Zealand. They did rotate a little bit. So I would have hoped that was enough, but it just didn't seem like it was. So I don't know. I really thought they could get this one done, especially with Wendy Renard back, because I thought if Wendy Renard was out, we were going to have a problem. But I just don't understand it. Every other tournament's been different. I think they were a little unlucky. They've been unlucky if you look at who they've had to play in some of these matchups, because they're not generally losing to a bad team, right? They usually are losing to like somebody who goes on to win the tournament or goes on to be in the final. Like they're doing pretty well on that end generally, but I don't know. But at some point, though, you have to beat a good team. you gotta. It doesn't matter if you play the U.S. in the quarterfinals of your home World Cup in 2019. Like you gotta beat somebody. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand it. Frustrated for them, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, do something. They've had, the coaching, there has been a situation, obviously, when they had, a coach that was openly feuding with most of the team for several years, and they've only finally got rid of her after, multiple players, including Wendy Renard, said, I am not coming if she is the coach. And then they got Hervé Renard, no relation, the man with the like crisp white shirts and the beautiful hair who looks like he could be in a Bond movie. He came in kind of on an emergency basis for last World Cup, agreed to stay through this Olympics. He's gone now. He said he was going back to men's after this Olympics. So where does this lead them? What are they going to do for 2027? I don't know, but I think this next coaching hire is crucial for them, and I don't think there's a lot of great options available. So, bummer. Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, I'm like, we should probably talk about Spain, Colombia, and Germany, Canada real quick. Let's hit those ones, which there's not a ton to say. Spain, Colombia, Colombia went up 2-0. I think all of us were excited about the prospect of an upset. Colombia, how did they do it? They were just lethal on the counter. They got 2 great chances. They finished them both. It's classic, though. You try to preserve the lead. You sub on personnel to do that. And then ultimately you are without any of your attacking weapons. You're tied 2-2. And then it's just hold on. We're just going to hold on for dear life and hope that we, can manage that way. And they did, right? They did manage. But that is very challenging to get all the way through extra time.
Yeah.
Extra time.
I'm going to have to pause every time we say it.
Yeah.
Extra time. Okay.
Extra time. Or, whatever it is. They made it all the way through. They held on to the 2-2 tie. And then their penalties were just bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
So.
Those are rough.
Yeah. But you also just didn't have the same deal, though. It's like the players I think you would want to take penalties you didn't have in anymore.
That's true.
So. What do you think, Root Beer? Were they bad penalties?
Yeah.
Dog. He's just a sweet dopey boy.
Yes.
Yeah, but I still think Spain looked beatable. I don't think Brazil's going to be the team to beat them at this point, especially if they don't have Marta. But and we'll talk about that in the preview. But I do think they look beatable, which is good for USA or Germany, and probably USA, as we will also talk about. So, yeah. But that one was probably the most exciting match from a footballing perspective in the first 90. So if you're going to watch one of them back, it would be Spain-Colombia. You could skip the additional time. But
extra time.
Somebody in the UK is like seething listening to this right now.
It's okay.
Seething. Like these Americans can't figure this out. Somebody's going to send me like a chart with like all the proper names. I'm like, you know what I'm saying. Just relax. Yeah. So that's a good one. I would watch that. And then here's another one you can skip, which was Germany, Canada. This went all the way to penalties after being tied 0-0. Canada was running on fumes. They've obviously had the drama of Drone Gate, and that's just been hard. And that's on top of this already being a hard tournament. Jessie Fleming had a particularly rough first half, and she has been thus far. I think the key to Canada having a great outing is that she's been having great performances. So, they just didn't look as good. I don't think that Germany looked necessarily better than they looked in the group stage, but I think Canada did not come out as strong as they have in their other matches.
So we have to play Germany again.
Yes, we get to play Germany again.
We get to play Germany again. Okay, how do we feel about that?
Yes, or no. I mean, like, look, I think we match up fine against Germany or against Canada. So Ann-Katrin Berger, who is the German goalkeeper, had herself a game. We should talk about that because Canada was knocking, but Canada did have chances, and she had a lot of great saves. The penalty shootout, she literally had her hands behind her back as she's waiting for the kicker to come up, which I've not seen. That is a bold strategy. She took one herself and made it two. She's feeling herself, and she's coming off of moved to Gotham recently in NWSL after having a rough go in Chelsea with Emma Hayes. So I think there's some revenge for her.
Yeah.
Too, because Emma Hayes benched her. But she's playing great. She's having a resurgence. If Germany beats us on Tuesday, I have no doubt it will, because AKB was just like, sorry, not today. Because she's feeling herself.
Yeah. Hands behind the back. That's pretty bold.
Yeah. Never seen it. Like, literally, I've never seen it. Every goalkeeper you talk to is like, just get big, like try to intimidate that. But like, it is a little bit intimidating when they're like, you know what space do you want? Go for it. Any space. I'm not worried about it. I got this.
Yeah.
So
I like that energy in my life, I think.
Yeah, we all need a little bit of hands behind the back. It's whatever. And you watch the saves, and I honestly wondered, did she move off the line too early? Because she's getting to these balls pretty well. And you look and nope, she's clean. So great work by her. So she's a little scary. This is a matchup for the US that has already happened. We already played them. Already did this in the group stage. The Spain-Brazil matchup is also a matchup that already happened in the group stage.
Yeah.
So we get to watch it again. I think there's sometimes a sentiment of, well, we already beat this team once, we can do it again. And it's very difficult to beat the same team twice in the same tournament doing the same thing. Yeah, so we'll see it. Things though that are in our favor. So we should have Sam Coffey. We will have Sam Coffey back because yellow card accumulation is done. So that is fantastic. She will be back in there. I and a lot of other folks thought a double pivot would be helpful against Germany. We didn't end up needing it, but I do think it would have been helpful last time we played them. You know, we've seen their weaknesses and they've seen ours. I'm curious if they do anything to adjust to our midfield. Assuming, I would like to see Tierna Davidson back just for the size stuff, because Germany's pretty good on set pieces and I don't want to see them have a size advantage, and Tierna Davidson's almost 6 feet tall. So that will be good, but you know, I didn't see anything against Canada. I didn't see anything against Zambia from Germany that makes me think that they've got something that we can't beat. It was just that our game against them was quite close. So, and we are tired. We rotated very little. Well, other than the involuntary rotations caused by injury or yellow card accumulation.
Yeah. Speaking of injury, have we heard anything about Fox's knee?
Yes, so we have not, that I've seen. So, and that's been a question for a lot of people. Emily Fox, if you missed it, went down just in the last minutes at the end of the match against Japan, and it did not look good. If we don't have her, and she's played well this tournament, I think she's fantastic. But I think Casey Kruger can get it done. I do. I think she'll be fine. I'm actually like, of the positions where if we lost somebody, like, I actually think Casey Kruger is a pretty darn good replacement for Emily Fox. So, yeah, so we haven't heard about her. No update yet on Tierna Davidson and whether she'll be back and available. But that's just always been a swelling issue. They're just like trying to get the swelling down. She's actually okay. So hopefully that'll be fine. But yeah, rematches are hard. But at the end of the day, like, Germany's back line is a little slow. If you can play the balls in behind to our front three that we still need a nickname for. We don't see, like, I like all the ones that are like the Holy Trinity, but the thing is, that's her name already.
Yeah,
like, she is Trinity Rod. So it feels like to me you can't put Trinity in the name, even though obviously it fits. But do you have a preferred nickname for the front three?
I mean, Holy Trinity does make sense, but I hear your argument not using her name. I want to hear yours. You're probably much more creative.
Well, so I think the other one I've seen is SSRI, because they help give you the serotonin, which is not wrong. So there's always that. But I don't know. I haven't seen one yet that has been like, this is the name.
Okay.
So somebody will come up with it, but it hasn't been me, and I haven't seen somebody do it. Because I think my brain also just goes to, like, the Holy Trinity makes sense. It's just, again, it's her name. Like, it can't be that. So, yeah. I don't know. And the Holy Trinity we trust, I guess.
Yeah.
Or in SSRIs we trust.
I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily.
Didn't roll off the tongue. It didn't. It didn't. But yeah, you can watch that one 9 a.m. West Coast on Tuesday, August 6th. I do think the US is going to get this done. I do think, though, with both of these matches, just because you've seen the teams already, higher likelihood of a draw and going into
You did it.
and penalties. They also get pretty upset if you say penalty kicks instead of penalties. That's another one that I got. I got a lot of yeah, but do you know what? Nobody's been in my mentions on TikTok about this recently, and I think it's because England's not in the Olympics. They didn't qualify, so they're not in there to say anything to me.
Or they're just...
I think they're just not chirping because they have nowhere to chirp. So,
got it.
But,
okay. Yeah. We should do a vocabulary quiz next time.
Yeah, we can see which one it's supposed to be, which will be good. I guess the only other thing to talk about with USA Germany and my fears on it is I do think they should move Pop back to where she belongs up front instead of having her play the 6 where she's been basically a ghost. I know they don't have Oberdorf, I get it, but if they move her to the 9 where she actually belongs, I think that is a bigger challenge for us, and they should do that because I don't think our midfield requires having her there. But hopefully the German coach doesn't listen to me either because I'm a stupid American. Nobody hopefully doesn't want to hear my notes on his team. Yeah. And then I think we've kind of already talked through Spain, Brazil for the most part, but that's at 12 West Coast, 3 East Coast, also on August 6th. And up in the air whether they're going to have Marta. I think you can't do it for Marta without Marta in 2 games. I just don't see it happening. I do think Spain will win this one. When Spain and Brazil played last time, Spain rotated quite a bit because they were already through. So I don't think that Brazil has seen Spain's best lineup. Brazil, I don't think, knows what their best lineup is. They can't seem to make up their mind. But we'll see. I hope Brazil's appeal is successful. That is, I think, the big storyline for this one. But I do expect Spain's going to end up winning, and we'll see them in an Olympic final.
Okay.
Let's just briefly talk about some stuff that's non-Olympics, because if you missed it, NWSL is still going on. I know people have asked occasionally, they're like, NWSL's happening? And yes, NWSL had a tournament with Liga MX Femenil, sorry y'all. It's the Summer Cup. The format was bizarre. There were 5 different groups. Not even all the group winners were guaranteed to advance. So the 4 strongest group winners did advance, and it ended up being entirely an NWSL semifinal. So the semifinals are also happening on Tuesday, August 6th. Angel City is playing Gotham. So as an Angel City fan, this is kind of like a nice little bright light, and Gotham is missing a lot of players at the Olympics. So let's take advantage.
That's a lot of soccer on Tuesday. How
It
many
is,
screens
yeah.
will you have up to watch all of that?
Well, so the nice part is that they're time-wise quite spread out.
Okay.
So I've at least got none of them overlap. So I can do that all. I just don't know how to do that all and then also do lawyer work. So that's
tough.
You know, that's tough. And then Kansas City Current also plays North Carolina Courage on Tuesday in the other semifinal. Yeah. So that's how that went. The bizarre part is that the group stage all happened during Olympics. We now have these semifinals on Tuesday. The final does not happen until October.
Why the wait?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, this whole, I think this was a really fun idea. And I was really excited about it because I wanted to see Liga MX Femenil lined up really against NWSL. But, they're kind of between seasons right now, and NWSL is in full swing. So there's that makes it a little bit unfair to watch. And then, I don't know, I just thought I'd have a lot more energy to watch this at the same time as the Olympics, and I completely was mistaken, because I think what I forgot about this Olympics is it's not just the soccer, there are so many other sports.
Yeah.
And, there's competing eyeballs in that sense. So it's not just, that there's competing eyeballs for soccer. There's competing eyeballs for, everything, because I want to go watch swimming, and I want to go watch tennis and whatever, right? So I haven't watched enough of it. But of course, the other big story out of it is that Kristen Press made her return to the pitch after 2 years being gone and 4 knee surgeries. And she's moving pretty good. I gotta say, it looked pretty fast. So, is she back? I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see Tuesday if she gets a few more minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible to come back from all that. A lot of comeback stories recently, which, I'm loving.
Yeah, it's good from that, but it's also, I hate that there's so many players that have to come back. It's kind of the bummer, but at least she's here. She made it. It's good. She's gonna save our season. I'm completely delusional.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. And then the transfer window is, of course, open in NWSL. It opened on August 1st. So there will be a lot of player movement. There will be more news and things happening there. Although a lot of signings happen kind of before the transfer window, and then they're just now actually like moving, so to speak. So we will see if that stays exciting.
Okay. Well, you have to keep us up to date.
I will.
Because I'll be busy watching gymnastics and, all the other things. And I can only do Olympics right now. So you're going to have to keep me posted on everything else.
Fine. I can barely, we only have like another week of this, and then we're good. So, okay. I think we did it. I'm like, I always wanted to say we did it, Joe, even though I think that meme has officially died. I think that's gotta be done. I think that was probably done 2 years ago, but it feels like it's survived longer. So I hope you enjoyed having a co-host here listening, and I enjoyed having Stephanie here listen to me talk at her. Because now we're gonna have to figure that vibe out, which we will, or we won't. Well, it'll be what it is. But Stephanie, I hope you had fun, and thanks for being here with me.
I did. Thank you.
All right. So for those of you who are listening for the first time, you can find us on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube. I'm Casey's on the Case on TikTok and pretty much all social media, although your experience may vary in terms of topic depending on where you are. We appear to still be the #2 soccer podcast in Kenya. So shout out to everyone listening in Kenya. And I believe we are still the #4 soccer podcast in New Zealand. So shout out to the folks over there. But yeah, like, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts or other media. And we will catch you after the semifinals.